What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today I want to talk about a few issues I'm having with the Digimon TCG. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So, guys, I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer for Digimon TCG. I love the card game. There's many card games out now, and we're kind of getting flooded to the point where there's something for everybody. I mean, you have Lorcana, you have Digimon, you have One Piece, you have Battle Spirits, you have Cardfight Vanguard, you have so many different options, it's not even funny anymore. You have Yu-Gi-Oh!, you have Magic, you have Pokemon, you have ways of dealing with burnout, it's not even funny. Like, we have the ability to be able to, if you're getting tired of the Digimon, when the format gets stale for too long, which we are in BT13 for so long that now we kind of can just swap in and out. You guys go play a different card game just to get a refresher, get, you know, the wiggles out that you need to just keep playing a card game. So it's not that big issue, but, you know, I think we need to start having some changes in the Digimon TCG to make the game better. So first off, I think there needs to be more low-end store events. What do I mean by this? Well, we've only had 2 store championships this year. Nothing really driving the point for players to really go all out in. There's just so many events that are online that most people don't even want to go to the locals anymore. That's scary to me in my sense because, yes, burnout fatigue does happen and that usually stops players for a little bit. But I think if we had more store championship level events and with really good prizing, which they did this year was really good, I think the major issue that a lot of players didn't turn out to store championships was the invite was taken away. The invite got switched over to anyway to being eliminated completely. Now you don't need an invite to get to nationals. You just need to basically be a lottery winner here. But the benefits become that your topping now gets you a 2-round bye, which is not a bad thing. That's pretty solid. I think 2 is fine. Anything more would have been broken with the game. We've talked about this before in another video. But I think what should happen is that store championships should have something more. I think we should see more store championship events next year. I think that would really help the game a little bit. Just more prizing, more fun things. You know, I get that we have like these color restriction advanced decks, which was the Beelzemon Cup, and now we'll probably have next year we'll have the Terriermon Cup, which will be mono green. You know, we'll see what happens with that. But I think that's pretty much one of the things that bugs me and irks me is that store championship events were far and few this year, and it should have been at least, I think, should be four store championships a year. Very easy to fulfill, and make it so we get promos and stuff like that that are really worth hunting. You know, I think a little bit oversaturated with a few of them, but I get it. There was some good ones and some bad ones, but we'll have to see. But not enough in-person large-scale events. So what do I mean by this? I think only Core TCG really had the biggest one, and then it was, right now they're up to 3 now. It's counting this year, so don't get me wrong, Core, congratulations on being able to host over there, but not a lot of people are going to fly out to California. A lot on the East Coast, that's a lot of travel there. I mean, it's at least 10 hours to get there. You know, going backwards and then springing ahead, it's rough on a lot of players that way. I mean, yes, it hurts you guys a little bit too when you guys come our way, but I feel like if they did more in-person events, we would have a little bit more fluctuation. I think what should happen with nationals is 1 year in the, you know, in Cali, and then next year shift it over to the East Coast side, or, you know, on the other side of the United States. Give people variety. You know, if you kind of just shuffle in back and forth, I think it would make so players feel a lot fairer when it comes down to it, but that's just another thing on its own thing with nationals being just California 2 years in a row. But I think also being that Gen Con was really the only other one that had 4 regionals to do with, And then the fact that they became best of ones for 2 of the events just because they couldn't hope for being able to close on time. Really terrible design. You should let people know that it's going to be best of ones from the start, not last minute. I think that's terrible management, but that's another thing in itself. But I think that with the lack of the event promos and stuff like that are pretty decent. Like, you get event packs, and then for regionals you get like a bunch of cards. We had a full evolutionary line this year of multiple regionals that kind of shifted in and out, made it a little tougher to get your hands on them unless you can sign up for 4 online events. And I think that's a little steep for a lot of players to be able to consistently do that, but that's just me. But I think the fact of the matter is it's still not enough in-person events. I think it gives a sense of community and growth when you have these in-person events, but make them not just Texas and the, you know, we had at least Georgia, South Carolina or something like that, or Georgia, you know, we had that just last month. But I think there's an issue here that I think we need to space out, get more tournament organizers and stuff like that, just to be able to host more of these larger scale events. I think the fact that Ultimate Cups has been exclusively online is terrible in design, as always. I think, yes, the restriction list is pretty decent. It puts some change up and stuff like that, but I think that even when we're getting into it, BT14 doesn't have any major events, that unless Ulti Cup goes just straight BT14, unless you play it. But we'll have to see what happens with Ulti Cup there. But, I mean, the fact that Ultimate Cups could have been in person would have been great. I know that Europe has been struggling to get events as well. Then Australia only has like a couple as well. That's kind of another thing. I know that European side has had the ability to, you know, have in-person events a little bit more than us, and that's good for them. I'm really happy. It's usually only 1 to 3 locations anyway, but that's really awesome for you guys that you get those in person. But I know you guys are like foaming at the mouth for more events. You guys really didn't have many this year. I think on a grand scale, North America's gotten like 95% of it, while you guys are just getting like table scraps. I think you guys only had like 5 events. Australia only had 4 this year. I mean, you guys are doing decently, but we had like 21 online events, and you know what? That's great and all, but in person and online, give a little bit more mixture to everybody. Everybody kind of wants events, and they're kind of just like, we want to play Digimon, we want to get these promos, we want to get this stuff. Like, the biggest thing I also have is that entry promos are a big problem, I think. You know, we've gone through 3 events packs in this year alone, and that's great and all, but why are we guys, what, we're on event pack 5 now, or going into 6? I don't remember now. I could take a look here. I have the card. Yeah, we're in event pack 5. I mean, we've shuffled through them pretty quickly, but there's not enough events that host it with the event pack that'll let you get your hands on them enough. I mean, Ulti Cup is really the only one where you get multiples on entry, and then you can hope you get a little bit more later. But, you know, regionals, the max cap you can get is like 3, and that's fine and dandy if you get top 64. But then you're only, if you make 126, you only get 2, and then you get at least a decent one with the, you know, these promos here, which aren't bad, but I think they need to do some redesign, revamp there. I think longer, more entry packs with event packs would do a lot better. Just feels like sometimes it becomes a, you know, gotta collect them all kind of situation where it's not as easy to get your hands on. And then by the time we get more events, we don't have access to these cards anymore, and they're already switching into the next one. I think giving more, I think regionals should bump up to 2 to 3 on entry, and then Ulti Cups at least 3 to 4. I think that would be a decent compensation for these entry packs because they're just so hard to get your hands on. Some players are very lucky in a sign-up to get that, and I think that is very vital and important. I think that these entries are really important to get your hands on. Sometimes it's really cool to flex your deck, but the fact that, you know, last one was majority of the time you would pull a plugin and you're just sad because you don't want plugins. Like, keep the really bad ones out of there. There's no reason for you guys to be pulling plugins. I mean, I like one of each. I would like to grab one of each and just have it, but like a Mugen player for me, I have to get 8 cards from this event pack, and there's not enough events for me to be able to enter to guarantee to get my stuff because it's a 1 card pack thing. You know, that doesn't guarantee me to get my 4 analog mans and Attack of the Heavy Mobiles. You know, that's really tough and hard for some players. Yes, you'll drop extra money then. You know, it almost costs you way too much money for those items, but by later in the year, probably by Nationals, they'll flood it anyway, like they did last year, but we'll have to see there. I mean, another thing that I think is massive is the handling of the Digimon TCG in itself. Bandai is kind of just like collecting the Infinity Gauntlet here. They have multiple, they're at 4 card games and another one on their way. They're ridiculous at this point. They had Battle Spirits that flopped once, you know, again, once they stopped pushing cash events. The community isn't all there anymore for it. Even in my area, I don't see anybody hosting Battle Spirit events anymore, just because there's no cash events. So that was really the driving point you were hoping to push on here, but that's going to slowly die out. One Piece, their biggest driving factor, the problem comes down to is that you either see a bunch of stores either hyper focused on One Piece, or you get like Digimon Splash, but then it's like, or vice versa. One Piece isn't as big, but you have a bigger splash in the Digimon community. You know, there's not a mixture of both where players are playing both games, and that's also because, if I remember correctly, One Piece is a best of 1, and that doesn't really turn people on for a card game. Best of 1 is very much looked down upon as being the weaker of the 2 ways of playing. So best of 3 is always better in a lot of people's eyes, just because it feels fairer. If you don't crack the nuts, you know, you at least have game 2 and 3 to possibly come back from. You know, they did also do a great job with, you know, some other things that we'll bring up afterwards. But I think also the fact that they're on a reboot for Dragon Ball Super, just so that they could sell in JP. I get that. They're going to have 2 formats with Dragon Ball Super. It's going to be very interesting. I don't know how they're going to handle it. Maybe they'll do a little bit better than how Bushiroad handled the second reboot of of Cardfight Vanguard, but we'll have to see. I don't have much more out there. I don't know how Dragon Ball Super will survive, but we'll see how that goes. But definitely Battle Spirits is kind of a dead game. Then we do have, I think a big issue is how they handle their promos. What do I mean by this? By, like, remember how we got Guillemon promo first in that pack, where we had like Wizardmon and stuff like that, we got stuff early, and it was really good, really cool to have, which was perfectly on time and on point, and I liked that. But the fact that we're missing, even right now, Lopmon and Flowermon and Dracmon from Digimon Survive promos that should have came out months and months ago is kind of intimidating me, because we get these promos at weird times. Like, we have the, what is it, coming in that we have Raremon and Galacticmon promo in EX5 box topper. Why there? We need them now. Like, I feel like we either get them extremely early, which is great, or we get them way too late, and then it's just like, it's not worth it to have it. And I think that's a big issue coming from this card game, is that timing is everything. And if we don't get it in advance, we're kind of missing out. I think we need to have that, and I think that might be worth talking about more and more. I think we need some more ways of getting these promos more effectively. The fact that Reprint Booster took out basically two of the major promos to be sought after. I mean, the security rookies and the alternate art mem boosts, and then filled it with junk that you're not going to want. Mind-boggling to me is how you guys just handled that. I think that was a big issue with reprint booster, was just the ratios and taking out good cards, and it would be a perfect set if you kept the good cards in there, but you took them out and it caused issues. I mean, yes, it was great to get cards that we didn't get, like the, you know, the Rabby, the Amphi, and the Seriousmon, but the fact that we don't have them now, when we have them now and the decks are just too weak to even vitalize that approach, is beyond me. I think there was a hit or miss here, and it definitely missed there. One thing we need to do, and I'm starting to notice, is that sometimes we need separate restriction lists. I really do think that. We're a best of one and a best of three kind of different entities. Definitely showing that, proving that grounds completely. And we can definitely understand that, because there's some hits that need to happen, some are not. They really care a little bit more on the English player side, but yes, they're trying to sell product, and I get that, but JP needed more hits than what they gave. I think JP should have hit XYZ, you know, the Grumon X, just to help slow down Apocalyptic Mon. I get that hitting these other cards slowed it down a little bit, but it's still going to be a tyrant and a half. By the time we get EX5, it'll be Nationals, and I have a feeling we'll get another restriction list shortly after that, but I think the fact is that they're going to see that Apocalyptic Mon, or needs more Crust Mon, you know, only gets the Crust. Boy, needs some sort of hit more. The deck is scary, it's strong, it's powerful. Being able to mill your opponent out faster than any other deck in completely. I mean, Millif doesn't even keep speed and tempo with that. You need to basically open the nuts and guarantee you have Omnimon Merciful mode just to be able to handle Apocalyptic Mon, being able to prevent it from going off. If you guys don't have that in your opening hand, you're kind of screwed. You know, if you're relying on it to be there, especially after Mulligan, you're almost needing to play bricks just to prevent yourself from losing. And that's scary to me. I think we have a lot of potential, but we need some change up. I think keeping them different would help out the player base. It would keep, you know, good player base happy and stuff like that. But I feel like we're just at a point where the restriction list should not be the same. I think keeping them separate just so that we can see and breathe, you know, just give it a event, give it or two, you know, just see what happens with the decks. If it's still overpowered, we'll find out instantly. But guys, what do you guys think of my points? Do you guys have different opinions? I'm sorry this seemed very negative video, but I want to see Digimon flourish. I want to see it go strong. And, you know, there's a bunch of other card games that can help you with the burnout. So guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace!